what we experience right now with Dubai Startup Hub, and this is an excellent question, is any business and your startup will go through. It's the question of how you can scale up. Because what happens right now, we obviously have a Dubai Startup Hub team working together. We have Dubai Chamber employees, right? And it's our bigger team who is helping us out with everything to serve startups better. You can't even imagine, like for me, comparing my experience in private sector and comparing my experience with Dubai Chamber, how much support you get there, it's incredible. But anyhow, how many startups, Natalia's team, Natalia, Aisa's team can meet on a daily basis and answer the same question all over again and again and again, right? Well, there is a certain number, right? If we want to make a bigger impact, we need to go digitally. And I think every of your business idea, right? Like how you scale. And for these purposes, we need to build the website, the platform that will be able to provide this clarity and guidance without physical presence of our team, right? So, and basically we designed this website. It's called DubaiStartupHub.com. And the whole website is designed, it answers 6 questions. How I launch my startup in Dubai, how I grow my market in Dubai, how I fundraise in Dubai, how I find my team in Dubai. Because, for example, it's great right now. You're still in university. For you, it's a little bit easier right now to find co-founder. When you're already working, just imagine you're working in a large media company and your colleague is sitting here and all she thinks about is to get promotion in the same department. And then you come to her and say, hey, how about putting money together and we do startup together, we'll be co-founders, but there is high risk that we'll fail, we'll lose money and we'll fail and probably will get fired. The probability that you will actually do this is very low, right? Then should we go to the family? Well, there is other set of issues that do. So in the university is a perfect way when you build this network, when you can start your business. Later on down the line, it will be a little bit harder. So a lot of startups are struggling in hiring co-founders and team members. And this is where...
It's always a struggle. Particularly getting a co-founder is like getting married.
Yeah.
So you better pick carefully.
Well, I think when you get married, you still it's like dislike, and you might not see each other for some time. But if you do business, you actually have to see each other every day.
You see your co-founder more than your spouse.
That's for sure. I can tell you that. So, and the 6th question that Dubai Startup Hub answers is where I continuously keep learning about the industry trends and all the happenings that's happening in Dubai. And the way we create this platform, basically we position it as a hub of the hubs. We are bringing to this platform all the events happening in accelerators, incubators in Dubai, all the partners. We bring the information that is featured there is about incubators, accelerators, investors, co-working spaces. We don't want people to come to our website and consider this as the only source. We are providing clarity and guidance. You have the question, you know which parties can answer this, go here. You have regulatory question, go to these bodies. So we are not competing with anyone. We're creating this platform to promote everybody. And this was interesting. When we're preparing the website and platform, we were talking with multiple partners, and some of them were asking, so you're actually going to promote us for free? I was like, yes, because we are delivering value to startups. And we just want to provide startups information about you so they can get answers from you. So it's very unique. Dubai Chamber is truly unique positioned, and the value that we deliver to the market.
Let me ask you mentioned successful exits. Which ones would you point to that Dubai has already had?
Well, I think probably the biggest story of this year is Sugdo.com, right? And this also makes us excited because as Dubai Chamber, right, we are one of the oldest public sector entity in Dubai, and our common mandate is promote, protect Dubai business and specifically trade. This is where we started when many decades ago the first traders were coming to Dubai, and this is where the entity sprung. So e-commerce, logistics, trade overall, it's very close to our heart, and we see that we can play even bigger role in foster that segment as well.
How old is the Dubai Chamber? That's interesting. So you're saying that the Dubai Chamber is quite old, whereas the Dubai Startup Hub is incredibly new.
Yes.
So how old is the Dubai Chamber? So
let me put this way that Dubai, like as we sometimes joke, is Dubai Chamber was before Dubai, which is like it's obviously we are making a joke, but it's indeed it's one of the oldest organizations.
But you're saying it predates Dubai in a way.
And it predates indeed. And historically, our members, we have more than 200,000 members of Dubai Chamber. The core private sector businesses of Dubai. However, even them, they are right now at this stage when they are going to be challenged by all this digital innovation disruption that is happening in the market. And for us, I see two mandates. First of all, we need to help our members, Dubai existing businesses, to step into this game of digital and be competitive and unlock new horizons for themselves. But also the second segment is the audience where we haven't played yet, or we just started to play in this audience, which is startups, innovative technology ventures.
Yeah, it's interesting. So the Dubai Chamber is all of the legacy businesses. You said there's 200,000 of them?
Yes, indeed.
And these are what, the brick and mortar, the old school businesses?
A lot of brick and mortars, export-oriented businesses, traders, financial organizations on the investment side, service companies as well. It's a large portfolio, but definitely there is a huge chunk of those businesses that are likely to be very much challenged by the digital disruption.
Right, of course.
Okay, so when we talk about the Dubai Startup Hub, so when you guys are targeting specifically the digital market, like specifically digital markets-based businesses, what are the type of businesses that specifically applications you guys are looking to help start up, or what examples can you give me from the businesses that you guys are?
That's right. I think this is where we should actually probably had to start, because we always say Dubai Startup Hub, but how we define startup. For us, and again, we are not claiming that this is the only definition and it's a universal definition. This is how we define startups for us. When we refer to startups, we include startups that are at the very early stages, but also we have scale-ups. Like in the US, they have more mature classifications. Scale-ups are already existing businesses, but we just call them startup for the sake of probably like easy to use.
Simplicity.
Simplicity.
Easy to use term.
But in the essence, a startup is a technology-enabled small business with high potential of growth.
That's a good definition.
For example, well, today we had the panel when we were listening to some of the startups. They were looking for support, different kind of support. There were startups with blockchain, like hardcore blockchain, and blockchain is obviously a buzzword, fintech.
Can you define blockchain? Yeah. Because not only hardcore sort of techies know what that is. I think.
Well, this is the thing. I don't claim that I understand completely the technology. Look, for blockchain is just the way we ensure authenticity, or like again, don't quote me, please. The security and authenticity of the block of information put in the transaction. For my team in general, for us the most important is to understand the business sense of the idea, and we can't have in-depth understanding of every technology that's available in the markets. And this is the thing, like, when today startups are coming to me and they're like, we have blockchain and we want to create startups fully on blockchain. I was like, look, today's blockchain in 5 years, it will be something that, let's agree, we don't know what will be there. Because 3-4 years ago, who was speaking about blockchain? No one. And the same way, it will happen. But
so you caution against sort of following trends too much or being too trendy, you think? Is that what you mean?
I think it's about not looking. This is what we advise to the startups: not lock to yourself or commit yourself to one particular technology that is trending.
Right. Good. Yeah.
Because technology is always
evolving.
Yeah,
and I will use this typical consulting word. You have to be agile.
Oh, I completely agree. And that's a great point for you students.
For us, I'll speak about this specifically because I'm a digital media student, and all of us in this room know that every day on the programs that we work on, we have updates. Every day there's something new, and we have to be able to adapt quickly.
But the day of your graduation, you don't know what will be available there.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and another thing, I think what's important to point that, I like that you brought this point of technology, right? Is that how we are working with technology-enabled businesses because we define the startups this way, right? And it can be probably, as I always say, we get a lot of calls from traditional businesses like coffee shops and others. And I was like, well, I will work with you with your coffee shop, but tell me how you leverage technology to provide a better, unique experience to your customers. This is where it can be coffee shop, but what's inside? What's special there? Well, Dubai Chamber has a unique position, again, going back to our 200,000 members plus. And the whole network of governmental and private sector partners who are not necessarily Dubai Chamber members, but they do business with Dubai Chamber members. So we create this whole ecosystem of support of mentorship and business guidance support for our startups. Yes. And if tomorrow, for example, it was happened last week, a startup who are working in health information exchange technology. It's a hardcore technology that develops software for health data records. Natalia, neither experts, neither doctor, no necessarily I know in-depth regulation. However, Dubai Chamber is positioned uniquely in the way that we can bring this startup to the mentor from the respective technology field, and also to the regulators who will guide this startup whether their technology is compliant with current regulation and what the next steps they need to do in order to hedge their secure development in this market.
Yeah, so let's say one of my students who graduates and they have a great idea for the next killer app, and they come to you and they say, how can you help me? I'm trying to scale up and build this business. How would you respond?
Well, first of all, I hope that minimum 70% of this audience will come my way, because our doors of Dubai Chamber, of Dubai Startup Hub are open to everybody. And again, going back to on a daily basis, my team and my they look like I always have some set of projects that I'm working on and managing, and also I have minimum several hours a day when I just don't know what kind of startup will come my way, and this excites me. In the morning you just wake up and you really don't know what's amazing person with crappy idea or very not focused person with amazing the next Uber idea will come my way. I really don't know. Sometimes it happens that the best worlds collide, and this is even more exciting.
Something good comes,
so basically, some people come with just idea stage, and some probably you already have. Some people will come with 5 ideas, right? So, and let's go back to the situation when one of your students, let's pick the victim, will come with a business idea. So for us, and it's very important for us to get to know the person, because in the end, and I'll tell you, it's probably, I don't have precise statistics because I don't have the ledger, but probably 40-50% you meet a person and you help this person not because he has great idea, but you see the potential, the entrepreneurial potential.
You see the potential in the person.
In the person, exactly.
It's a very important point, and I've heard it because I also have a background in Silicon Valley, and I've heard this point many times, and it's important for the students to understand too. The idea may change, but it's the individual that they're kind of betting on.
Absolutely,
right?
100%. And one day, probably a month ago, we got a call from one of the students. I think he's second or third year, getting his degree, and on the call, how passionate he was and how precise he was. And I just on the call, I was okay, let's tell me what you've done. And he walked me through the homework that he had done. And the idea was very simple. There was technology component, but predominantly traditional, more on traditional side. Basically, the idea is that a lot of Dubai is basically, it's a city for car driver, for the drivers, for people who own the cars. But because a lot of the, obviously we have a large expat community who comes here who have no clue where to go with your car. You got your driver license, you get the car, and you don't know which garage to go to fix it, and so on. So, and if you try to Google which garage to go to fix your car, you probably will get this yellow pages long list of things, and you don't necessarily know where you can trust or not. And he was look, I'm so passionate about cars. All my friends are passionate about cars. I really know every single garage, and I want to make this platform and app for users to actually get the services from different garages, and I'll provide all the perks ratings, customer user feedback, and so on. No super complicated business, right? By the time it's a very young talent, and he came our way, and by that time he already spoke with DED how to obtain the license for this specific business. He was speaking with his network about who in the city he needs to talk to, and this is where one of his friends recommended to come to contact us, and he was reaching us. We didn't pick up. He was still hustling. By that time he walked through and knocked the door of majority of the garages already, and he knew the names and addresses and point of contacts. You see how much hustle he has done this. And I told him, we're here to support you. Probably your idea will fail, and I'll be very realistic, but I believe that you will be a successful entrepreneur, and we will walk with you. We'll walk with you this journey.
So let's break that down further. What do you think is the DNA of a successful entrepreneur, particularly as it pertains to Dubai, but more broadly as well? What makes a successful entrepreneur in your mind?
I think there are two school of thoughts about who entrepreneur is. You probably read some studies that there are it's actually DNA. There are 4% in the world population who actually have this unique hardcore entrepreneurial spirit or DNA. The other 4%. 4%, yeah. The other school of thought is that this is why we all go to business school, right? And all this training, it can be trained and taught. I think I believe you will never know until you hustle long enough and stay in the game long enough. And because we know so many entrepreneurs who has been in their daily job, working for some company or the government 10-20 years, and then suddenly they became one of the most successful entrepreneurs. And there are other people who keep trying different businesses, and nothing works out. It's important to say that I don't know. I think it's a mixture of both, to be honest. Resilience. This is what makes you stick to it and persevere with your business.
So, in your opinion, then the X factor is resilience.
Yes.
I basically agree with that.
Yeah. And for example, I've tried several my businesses, and when we've done the first business, and we debriefed, we looked at each other with my team, what we learned. And there are two things that we learned. First thing is that there is no mystery in business. first in the beginning it looks like to do a business it's so complicated, so big. No, it's really like it's step by step. But the second lesson is like it's much harder than you think.
Well, there's a quote from Steve Jobs. It's something like, if you knew in advance all of the work you'd have to do to create the company, you would not start at all.
Yeah. That's true.
So in a sense,
true.
you sort of do it day by day by day, and it builds, right?
I think, going back to I like your question, what makes entrepreneur to become successful. For example, at Dubai Chamber with Dubai Startup Hub, we are there. We have clear strategy. Consisted of 5 pillars that we implement in Dubai that we believe will make a difference within the next 5 years. At the same time, we are very open. We provide basically any support that any entrepreneur needs. We provide clarity and guidance to everybody.
But what are these 5 pillars?
So the 5 pillars. So first of all, one of the pillars is obviously a lot of startups are coming our way and saying we need funds. We are looking for financing. I think it's probably the most common question asked.
People say we need funds, we need money to build the thing, right?
But in reality, it's not the main question. But okay, the finance. Again, I'm trying to highlight that whatever pillar we are implementing and putting our effort and energy as Dubai Chamber, it's because it's needed, right? It's not something that.
Pillar 1 is finance.
Financing. Okay. But how we do this? How we do this? There are three ways, right? One of them is obviously. We have put together a plan how we can establish a startup fund, but do it in a quite innovative way. We are not looking for startups to directly invest and get their equity. We are solving the problem when we have great talent in the UAE with crappy ideas, and we have great business ideas that have already worked in matured markets. For example, 5 years ago, there was no Uber here. And there was one person who brought Uber or brought Karim, right? Let's say. So what we are doing, right, with our startup fund, we are here locally. We identify the talent, entrepreneurial talent, to become the CEO of the startup, and we bring ideas from the matured markets, and then we inject financing and incubation.
So in a sense, though, you're saying you're replicating successful models that have worked elsewhere?
It's called company builder.
Okay.
And we have greater control about what type of businesses we incorporate in Dubai. Okay. Right? This is one of the mechanisms. Okay. The second mechanism, surprisingly or not, but we are constantly contacted by international and local investors, and it's a quite recent trend when they ask, I'm an investor from Saudi and I'm interested in this particular type of startups, probably in Dubai or in the UAE, broader in the UAE. Do you have a list of startups I could invest in?
Well, that's a good call to get.
For example, one of the investors was from Silicon Valley, and he was specifically looking for GCC startups with drone technology. And he was like, I'm here, I'm bringing my money, give me those startups. Well, we have this database. It's a win-win situation. Of course, it's a simple matchmaking. Well, it's not our core activity, but if there is a demand, there is supply, we just bring them together. And then the third way we invest in startups, we are investing in accelerator program. We just finished the startup bootcamp Smart City Accelerator selection. Basically, all startups we sourced globally, 700 applied.
Can you just define for the students what an accelerator program is?
What will happen, what kind of trouble will happen to you when you enroll in the accelerator program? First of all, I think it's maybe for some will be useful to understand the difference between incubator and accelerator. Incubator is basically when you join at your idea stage, and you will provide a lot of guidance, technology, legal support, hand-holding in order to come to the prototype stage. Right? In the accelerator program, you already have your prototype. You have gone probably through POC, or maybe you have existing operations, but you need to get this acceleration through the important network introduction to polish your investor pitch, because in the end, the goal of Accelerator, you are at that stage when you can go through round A, round B, and attract a big chunk investment, and actually maybe even sell your company.
Does everybody understand? So these are it's a life cycle of a startup.
Yeah.
Like the incubation stage is like started, it's about to start, the starting of the business, and then the accelerator one is already have the basic structure of it, but then just a lift, lift up.
Yes, and for like to put yourself on the track of exit. Right? What's your exit strategy?
We talked about exit, didn't we?
Yeah, we did actually. If you can explain to us what the exit strategy one more time.
That's a very important question, and when my team is meeting startup, even at the idea stage, we always want to understand what's your motivation behind, what's your exit strategy, what you want to do with your business. Some of the classical strategies, some people come, they just want to be owners of their business, and they want to have this business that provides the stable salary income to themselves, to their families, and they want to keep this business forever, right? This is it's sort of exit strategy. You just want to keep it, right?
It's sometimes called a lifestyle business, right?
Yeah, you just it's more on traditional side, it's less relevant to technology startup, but still, like for example, one of the startups in blockchain, they were like, we want to develop a few products based on blockchain, but then long term, I see this converting more into consulting business that I can just carry on with it. Right? So another exit strategy can be you can actually sell your startup in full or part of part of your business to either corporate investor or VC investor or angel investor, right?
What's an angel investor? Can you explain that to us?
Angel investors, they're stepping up in the game at the very early stage. Basically, angel investors more probably acting on the seed stage when they want to get the share of your business early enough, and so as long as you grow, they will have higher chance of getting more revenues when you actually exiting the business. Again, any investor investing in you, keep it in mind that at some point they will exit your business as well, right? So,
an angel, just to add to that, in Silicon Valley, technically it's a person who has a net worth of at least $1 million and an annual income of at least $100,000 a year. Without that, they can't technically qualify as an angel investor.
But they do a lot of absolutely agree. But the core thing is that they invest in quite risky ideas that don't have proof of concept, and they can risk this investment.
Right. For example,
given their net worth.
Steve Jobs had an angel investor very, very early on when they were still in the garage. Right. There was a guy who came along and gave them an angel investment. Yeah. So.
I think speaking about the financing, I think we have covered that part. Accelerator programs, startup fund, company builder type. Matchmaking between investors and startups. But remember, I mentioned that if you tell me, any one of you, tell me that I have a great idea and I just need 1 million dirhams. I would be like, okay, I will really get you this money tomorrow. What are you going to do with it? And this is where the problem starts, because usually I would tell you in 99% of the cases, people who ask for money don't necessarily need money. What they actually need, they need a solid business model, solid business focus, and build their sales pipeline. And this is why when we're coming to the second pillar, and I think this is the one of the most important pillars and contribution that we can make to the city is delivering a successful market access project. Especially for startups in B2B sector. And you understand B2B
business to
sector.
business.
B2B business, okay. So especially in B2B business, if startup operates in Dubai, they need to have access to the government entities. But we know that even existing companies, SMEs, they are struggling with this kind of access. Network. None of the startups have 5 years of audited financial records. Because startups is 2-3 years old. They can't have 5 years.
And they're usually far more disorganized than
and far more disorganized. So indeed. So, and that's why a lot of them, a lot of startups come into Dubai, they participate on accelerator programs, but then international startups, but then they live in Dubai. Why? They haven't built up their sales pipeline. So what we do with our market access, with Dubai Chamber, we work closely with our partners, large corporate and government entities, and we open the real procurement opportunities with these entities and create the special procurement track for startups. And if you will tell me what's the biggest learning from this project so far, and so far we have been very blessed with exciting progression of this project, and we see the very good traction in between both sides, startups and corporates. You know what? A lot of majority of startups, 75%. Or maybe even more, who participate in this project, and they know that it's a procurement opportunity. When they first submit the presentation and we do a preparation for the meeting the client, they pitch as for investor. You're listening to them like, guys, you're trying to sell your business, you're not selling the product. Because if you B2B startup and you go to meet the big corporate or government entity, you have 10 minutes to demonstrate how you solve the particular problem for this client. But
let's break that down. So basically what you're saying is market access is pillar number 2 of Dubai Startup Hub. And currently you have a number of companies that are in that stage that you're helping, and they're making the mistake of pitching as if they're pitching to investors as opposed to pitching to potential buyers.
To be honest, we haven't. We probably maybe anticipated, but we didn't expected that the problem would be so severe. Because we thought, initial thinking was that once we open these procurement opportunities, because trust me, there is so much work done behind the scenes with our corporate and government entities. It's not that easy to make this decision maker that tomorrow we'll be working with this IoT startup and not with the big names that IBM, Accenture, let me throw these names, right? So it's a very big decision for the corporates and government to make, right? And then we thought that we open these procurement opportunities, and then startups they're so eager, they complain so much they don't have cash, they need money. So this is the real opportunity for you to get this money. But in reality, brilliant startups. I probably fall in love with every application, but in reality, a lot of these, the actual pitches are about pitching the business and not solution. And we have to do a lot of mentoring and coaching. Again,
it's an interesting problem.
When corporates, when they hear this presentation, they're like, great, everyone amazed. But we know how much work has been done.
So you've kind of honed in on this particular issue, which is to say, you want them to help themselves by figuring out how to go to market and having a credible business strategy and getting customers like right now, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is how you become sustainable business, because
and become at the same time far more appealing to investors. If you have clients, if you have revenue at all, investors take you much more seriously, right?
Absolutely. This is, for example, when we were screening some startups for some of the investors. That was the question: how many actual clients you have? Can we call them? Can we speak with them?
Most of the time it's 0, right?
Yes or no. To be honest, you never know. Some of the startups, particular for Startup Bootcamp Smart City Accelerator program, we obviously, some of the countries were discovery for us. For example, we were truly amazed how many amazing startups came from Egypt, for example, right? And the guys actually, they making money, they have sustainable business model. Right now, they're at the stage of expansion. And that's beautiful, right? They didn't wait for the big investment. They were just hustling and building their business. So I think this is the second pillar, and this is the most important. And again, I encourage everybody in this room and who is listening to the podcast, before you think about, you start even thinking about raising money, just think about how you make money. And if you need any kind of validation support, well, we're here. Come our way, right?
It's very, very good advice. Very solid advice.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, we covered how to fundraise in Dubai. We spoke about how to access market and grow your customers. I think we need to maybe even go back to your question is what it makes to be a great entrepreneur. And I told you, you never know until you try. And that's why we need to look at the stage when you're still in university, you are still at school. And for us, we realized we need to give the opportunity for entrepreneurial talent to experience this, to get this experience with startups. And for these purposes, as we speak, we're launching this beautiful project for university students in the UAE to actually apply for the internship with startups. So, and we're working closely with the universities as well to make sure that the internship will qualify, right? Obviously, there are two parties involved. Startups who can provide the relevant experience, but also the universities who will accept this kind of internship. Mm-hmm. We don't say that everybody who will take this internship will start their own business, but we want to make sure that you have a choice. You have this conscious opportunity to make conscious decision. By the end of this internship, you will say, never ever again I want to work for XYZ huge company like in this department, and just please from 8 till 6 I'm good, I'll be good. Or you would vice versa. Now I know what it takes. I'm ready for that. I know it's not easy. It's really mess, but this is the mess I want to be in right now.
Oh, it's absolutely an excellent point. Yeah. It's not for everybody. The lifestyle, right? And putting and immersing people in it, as you say, that will allow them to see for themselves whether or not it is for them. You know?
Yeah. The fourth pillar, and I think again it has high relevance to the audience in this room, and like student community in general, because, as I mentioned, Dubai Chamber has mandate to protect, promote Dubai business. And historically, we have been advocating for the businesses, for private business. Whenever business has any specific concern, it's our duty to actually study, to go deep to understand what's the cause of this concern, and then we are in the position when we can actually expedite certain recommendations and feedback to the relevant government bodies.
Okay.
We don't change the regulation, but we can voice, we are authorized, and we can expedite the message to the relevant government bodies.
And on that point, as a follow-up question to that, I imagine that there is a lot of support from the government for the Dubai Startup Hub. Like, can you speak to that? Like, how eager is the government for there to be a rich and successful, I should say, a healthy, successful startup ecosystem in Dubai?
Well, I think Dubai is unique in this sense. Again, I don't have a detailed study on hand, but I think the support, the level of support that startup and private sector receives from the government here, simply because Dubai government and agencies are so innovative. And just look at some of the incubators, accelerator program like DFA, Expo Life, and others, driven by the government, and the government is sourcing in the UAE globally for the best ideas to come to Dubai and solve their challenges. DIWA is very open. RTA is always looking, so through multiple programs. So they are there. What you probably referring to is that to the common challenge across the geographies when the regulation is behind the technology development.
Okay, right, of course.
And especially
you run into red tape.
Specifically, for example, in sectors, fintech, obviously, healthcare, education, sectors very sensitive. Even like transportation as well. But healthcare, in particular, for me, it's like around the world, the regulation is still behind, not because the governments or regulators are not willing to create the thriving, accommodative environment. It's just because technology is developing too fast. Simple
Yeah.
as that. And the other aspect of that, I think it's more, maybe it's even, could we say, there is a communication issue in between the business and the regulators. And again, I'm not referring to Dubai case, but in general, in the global scale, there should be certain level of compassion and understanding and openness from both sides to work together. And this is why the fourth pillar of our Dubai Chamber, Dubai Startup Hub strategy is entrepreneurship advocacy, and specifically we're looking into youth entrepreneurship advocacy. How we can not only analyze and study how you as young entrepreneurs who are some of your own idea stage, some of you probably might have a startup are struggling with, but also bring you closer to enable you to actually voice your concerns and act on these concerns. So what we're doing, we are actually partnering with the Ministry of Youth, the UAE Youth Council. And in December, we're launching the Young Business Leaders Voice Project. And the whole purpose of it is to basically highlight the main pain points that young entrepreneurs, predominantly students, are struggling with when it comes to starting your business in Dubai, in the UAE, and what can be improved from the regulation perspective, be it financing part, be it registering business, and so on. But what's interesting?
It's great. I mean, you guys are doing a lot. This is good stuff.
Yeah.
The third, the whole project will involve three workshops. Three workshops or events that will be happening in the Youth Hub in Emirates Towers. Probably you're already familiar, you've been there.
Some of you went there, remember? 1776 Dubai, Emirates Tower.
Yeah. And the third workshop, it will be this is one of the most exciting for us format. It will be the round table. When we at round table, we are bringing both aspired or the actual young entrepreneurs like yourself on the one side, potential future leaders, and the other side we are bringing the members of UAE Youth Council. The members of this organization are watching closely and interacting with Ministry of Youth to communicate those areas that can be improved, can be fostered and facilitated in Dubai to support youth in whatever venture or endeavor youth is concerned about.
And this round table is happening when?
It's happening in January. The round table is happening in January.
So very soon.
Yeah, the first workshop is 20th of December.
Oh, wow.
It's about legal fundamentals of starting business for you as a young entrepreneur. And youth, by the way, it's defined as up to 30 years old. So the audience, aside from us, qualified.
We're the only two disqualified. So can they go?
Of course, that's important thing, because we really in majority of these programs, we really do a lot of hand holding, and we want to help each of the startup and entrepreneurs individually. That's why the space is very limited. And I'm saying not, some people are saying, oh, we have just few RSVPs because they want to attract more attention. No, it's really like this because we want to speak with everybody, right? So for legal, for the workshop on the 20th, the audience is restricted to 30 people. For the round table, it will be probably to 12, because the whole purpose of round table, the goal between UAE Youth Council and young entrepreneurs will be to discuss the actual pain points, and together to work out the recommendations. The practical recommendations in the regulations.
To have a meaningful discussion. If there's too many people, it's not going to be meaningful.
No. And the other project, again, within this pillar that we're doing, and I think it will be interesting for everybody.
Is this the fifth pillar?
No. It's every pillar has from 2 to 4 projects.
Oh, okay.
So you just understand the scope of activities that Dubai Chamber is doing.
Yeah.
It's 5 pillars, but there are multiple projects within each pillar. And about advocacy. in Q1 FY18, we are working on producing a special edition of the report, which will be cost of doing startup in Dubai. Again, it's very important because
that's going to be a very useful report.
It's just useful.
I mean, even in my case, I would love to see that data.
Everybody, like I'm in. Like I'm also interested.
Yeah. Does everybody catch that? The cost of doing a startup in Dubai, right? Some kind of meta-analysis.
Exactly. We have the whole team of experts doing this research, and I think Spencer just mentioned very important word about useful. Because I will share with you that right now, me working with Dubai Chamber, with my team, with Dubai Startup Hub, we're meeting different stakeholders, partners in the city and internationally. And the first question they ask, what kind of unique things you're doing? How are you different from other programs existing in the market? Because what I mentioned to you, it's not, we haven't invented something that no one thought about it. I think why we are different or what's special about us, we keep it extremely real and extremely practical and useful. And I think this is where a majority, like our audience, our startups, our community appreciate the most.
That was my first impression after our first meeting, was that when we spoke to that, you didn't want to waste my time, and it was just like a rapid fire bullet points of action.
When we work with the startups, although there are 900 of startups, the approach is extremely individual and extremely practical. We don't promise the blurring skies, right? No, it's not something that we promise. We really tell you where you are, and if it's a crappy idea, we have to tell you it's a crappy idea, but there is the way what we can do about it. Sometimes sometimes we meet startups who put so much money in their own money, a few millions of dirhams easily. I'm like, how much revenues you've done? 0 so far. Wow. And it's really, and you think that it's us with you who is looking at our bank account very carefully. There are people who put a lot of money in that, and then you have to, and they're like, how can you help us? I was like, let's take your business as an onion and let's peel it off and see if there is anything there inside. If not, we need to package in the way, we need to cut the damage. We need to cut the damage. And if you have if you have invested so much, you have office in downtown and you haven't made money, just close your office, save the money. This is how you can exit your business early enough before losing much more. And let's look what kind of assets you have in terms of the information and how it can be leveraged and converted into different model, into different business.
So in other words, your emphasis is on no nonsense, actionable feedback and advice. And that's definitely my impression from the beginning, which I think is fantastic, because if you're in the space, then you know when you're hearing hot air or when your time is being wasted.
And that's, I think, this is why Dubai Chamber is extremely unique organization. It's not organization that will promise you will be the most successful business in Dubai. Just hold your hand and build the trust and provide you practical tips how to grow your business and succeed in Dubai and globally. And the way what I like about my team and my boss, I work with Aisa El-Zahabi, who is fantastic, who was actually the father. I don't know if he likes this word, but he was the father of the entrepreneurship agenda in Dubai Chamber, and he persevered in moving this agenda forward. He always likes to say, and I have huge respect for that, when he's meeting a startup, he's saying, your success is our success. Your failure is our failure. We couldn't help you to succeed. So, and I think this is when the mentality of any entity who is working with the startups is about your success is our success. This is where the practicality comes.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And so, pillar 5.
Excavator. excavate a funny word. What we do essentially, we are helping any entity, be it it can be from a small company to a large corporate, so like large leading corporates, when they are struggling with some innovation ideas internally, and we are basically helping them to solve them through building the collaboration with the startups. It doesn't necessarily, it's not procurement opportunity. It's rather brainstorming, unlocking the partnerships. And here I would also come to, I think, if we're moving forward towards wrapping up our conversation, I think, and if you ask me what I'm hopeful about and what I want to see more, one thing I definitely, and this has been on my agenda, specifically particular the last few months, I see huge potential unlocked, like still not unlocked potential in collaboration between startups. The complementary services solution that startups can benefit each other and come to the market much stronger. And we started to see these beautiful collaborations happening on our platform, on Dubai Startup platform, when we're sitting in one room and one of the startups would say, we are doing business XYZ, we are struggling with customer acquisition, what we can do. And there is another startup on the other side of the table who are marketing digital agency, and they would say, and they actually did say, look, we can figure out your digital strategy, your marketing we'll nail it on LinkedIn, and we'll do profit sharing. How about that? Win-win situation, right? Two startups helping each other to build the pipeline.